This is Dan Baer with California Survival School and survivallife.com. Stick around, we're going to teach you how to tackle survival priorities from a primitive perspective. So at this point, I have ribbing going down both sides. There's enough space where my body's going to be able to get in there, and the ribbing is spaced close enough to where when I start piling on this type of insulation, it's going to keep it where it needs to be. My insulative walls for this type of material, to have the airspace effectively stopped, to create dead airspace, I need to have walls that are about 2 foot thick. So a good way to measure that is I grab my ridge pole and I measure out to my shoulder. That's a good 2 feet, and that's what I need here to have an effectively insulated shelter that could keep me warm down to freezing temperatures. Let's go get some more insulation. One of the most time-consuming aspects of getting a shelter is gathering the insulation, and it's actually the one that should be paid attention to first. If I'm running low on daylight, I'm not going to worry so much about the structure as I am finding and harvesting the insulation. If push comes to shove, then all I need to do is, if all I have time to do is just pack it into my clothes, that's what I'm going to do. Depending on how much insulation is available, it could take a couple hours to do this. I mean, it could be pretty quick if you're effective at it, if you've practiced. We still got a ways to go. You always want to be efficient. Lazy but effective. Don't waste calories repeating processes that you can make more efficient by gathering more materials one go. I don't want to be taking little handfuls. I want to make sure that I'm not making more trips than are needed. I need to conserve energy and conserve my resources. To make an effective shelter, I need to make sure that my walls are 2 foot thick all the way around. I don't want any spots where that's not happening. Right now, if I reach into my ridge pole, most areas I'm still only getting about a foot. So even though this may look well insulated at this point, if I want a really well insulated shelter, I need to keep going. Another thing about making shelters is I don't want a flat roof. I want a nice, tight, narrow pitch. The more narrow the pitch, the easier it is for the water to run off. If it is raining, I don't want that water sitting on top and dripping through. I want to make sure this stuff is well packed. You can do 100 of these as an exercise and even get into them and feel like they're pretty comfortable. You're going to learn 100 times more if you spend a night in one. You may have the rest of your life to sleep in a nice Tempur-Pedic bed, but it's worth your while, even just for the experience, to get out and spend one night in one of these. You will learn where the cold air is coming in, where the water drips through because you didn't pack the insulation effectively. And that's going to get you, that's going to be the school of hard knocks, but it's going to really speed up your development. So if you ever need to do this in a real situation, you'll be much better prepared. In the dead of winter, snow can make an effective shelter barrier or insulator as long as it's not touching your body. Snow is 90% air. So I can do the same thing with snow as long as it's not touching my body and I effectively brace it so it's not going to collapse on me. And if I had this all set up and it snowed on top, that would just more effectively insulate it, so that wouldn't be a problem. So my walls right now are getting pretty thick. I'm getting down to where if I'm reaching into the middle of my shelter, it's getting down towards my shoulder to get all the way in there. So this is about right. Especially this time of year, this would be great. But if I'm getting down to freezing, you really want to make sure those walls are thick.